there's so much of a correlation between epigenetics and the brain development. And we know now that when a child comes into the world, they are so not even close to being fully formed because the brain is not online, right? And it comes online primarily in the first 5 to 7 years of life, but it's not done until we're in our mid-20s, believe it or not.
Whoa.
Which is why teens, one
stupid thing.
Yeah. One of the things that I say is little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems.
Hello, Heal Squad. Welcome back to another great day we're going to spend together. We're going to make it a great day. We're going to learn a lot today. We're going to start with our quote of the day. How many times have I said day already? I was a great mom until I had kids. That is from Marissa Gold, our guest today. Friends, so excited to be back with you today. Today we have a really cool guest who's going to help us in brain-based parenting. She's an expert in brain-based parenting, and I'm really excited to chat with her today about that. She's a dedicated advocate for intuitive, positive, and mindful parenting, and the founder of Intuit Parenting, Marissa Gold. We're going to delve deep into the fascinating world of brain-based parenting and discover how understanding the science behind development can lead to informed and effective parenting decisions. Marissa's expertise in this field has helped countless parents improve their parenting skills and create a nurturing environment for their children, which is everything that I want for my little Athena, and for those of you listening, I'm sure want for your little Athenas and such. So Marissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled and honored to be here.
Thanks for being here.
Welcome to the wonderful world of parenting.
Oh my gosh, we are loving it. Yeah. Kevin is at the Heal Squad desk as he takes notes. I don't know if everybody knows this, but Kevin takes notes on every episode.
I love that. Talk about support.
Yes. Well, he is the executive producer of the show.
Well, yeah, in name only. Yes.
Yes. And he does a really great job assisting Natasha on all things Heal Squad, but he also today was the coffee man. So
I was going to say, today you were my hero, Kevin, because you brought us lattes before the show. Mm-hmm. I didn't even have to put an order in before. It's like you knew.
This is how sweet Kevin is. Kevin walked in, was so mortified that he didn't have a coffee for you. He gave you his coffee, went in and made him his own.
I was supposed to say that.
No, but I know, because I'm looking at your coffee right now that you had to run in and go make.
You didn't have to offer
No,
me
I also had to go in because we had some issues inside. But
okay. Is everything okay?
Everything's fine. Yeah, but there's still, outside of there's still doggy daddy issues.
Oh,
that
totally.
come up
And
every
house
now.
dad.
Please tell me everything's okay.
Everything's fine. Yeah, everything's fine.
Okay.
Just needed me. That's all.
Well, thank you for giving me your coffee.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for being here.
That. Yeah, I'm so excited.
And these notes help me.
Yeah.
This is going to school for me every day. This is what you get when you don't try in school. Later in life, you have to now try.
Yeah. Well, you've created this forum, I think, that's really incredible because you get to bring in people where you're helping the community, but you also get to learn yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's really, I do something similar as well in my life, so I get it.
It's fun. I'm going to turn this down for you.
Gabby Bernstein calls that borrowing the benefits.
Oh,
we learned on this show. Yes, you borrow the benefits from other people and healers and people who've gone through it.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so interesting about that is like, we then get to learn from each other, and that's how we grow, right? And we learn better from each other, I think, than reading anything or watching a lecture, but really being with someone in person and learning from their experiences.
That's why I always say we're better together.
We are. I love that. We are better together.
We really are. I have my bracelet that says it. The show used to be named Better Together. We couldn't really do much with it, so we had to move into Heal Squad, but
transformation and change is good.
Before we get into all of our amazing brain-based development chat, I want to let our friends know all about Macy's Holiday Hub. Guys, the holidays are coming fast and furiously.
Almost over.
Honey, shush, do not say that.
Sorry.
They are not almost over. Halloween hasn't even happened yet.
I can't believe we're talking about the holidays.
I know. I'm so excited, though. It's my first holiday with my baby.
Have you done a Halloween? Have you gone to the Halloween patch yet and taken the pumpkin pictures with her?
Are they open?
Yes. You've got to get her a little pumpkin costume. You've got to sit her on the the bale of hay, and you got to do your Halloween.
I don't know why Maria's got this look. Marissa, we did this with our dogs every year.
No, I know, but now you have to take Athena and the dogs.
No, guys, you don't understand. We took all 5 dogs to the Grove, which is this outdoor mall in LA, to take pictures with Santa.
I love it.
Sick puppies we are. And then we took all of the dogs, my mom, my dad, and we did these beautiful pumpkin patch pictures. I can't even believe we're this deep in October and I didn't even realize.
You haven't done it yet, yeah. And we have one of the best ones right by us.
I know,
right
that's the one we went to.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Kevin, you have to order. Maybe while you're taking notes, you go onto Macy's.com, order her, Macy's.com/Heal Squad. Because if you use that landing page, we get credit for it. So find her a pumpkin patch outfit right now.
You know what I'm getting.
And friends, I'm populating this link with all holiday stuff for you. So we'll do matching jammies. We'll do all that. So
I love that.
We're talking Halloween, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas. Macy's has you covered. They've got all the essentials to decorate. I love hosting my parties. I have my cupcake and cocktails party every year.
Oh, so fun. You do a white party in the summer.
I don't do a white party, but I don't throw parties in the summer because everyone's gone.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to throw a party in the summer here in LA, but anything you need to entertain and get in the holiday spirit, Macy's.com/holiday hub has you covered. Also could get ahead on your gifts, guys. I know we all wait till the last minute. I like to get ahead with all of the family issues, health-wise, and tragedies we've gone through. I have also been very okay with canceling Christmas when I've needed to and said, this is just for my sanity right now, but hopefully you are not in that situation. If you are, I give you permission to cancel holidays for this one moment in your life so that you can give back to yourself and not be adding more stress to your plate. But for the rest of us, Holiday Hub, Macy's.com/Holiday Hub. Get what you need ahead of time. And so you can be prepared. Also, I know, Marissa, you are a fan of Way.
I am.
Way is a new supporter of the show. I will say,
I love them.
I brushed out my hair this morning and it was so dry at the ends. And I'm like, do I use my hair oil from Way or do I use my leave-in conditioner? And I use in the leave-in conditioner and it really makes such a difference. It takes all the frizz and it smells nice.
I love the way their products smell. That's one of the reasons I actually got into them because everything smells so fresh and clean.
Yeah.
They have a lotion that I use on my body. Oh, it's heavenly. I love it.
It really is becoming like the go-to luxury brand. I feel like back in the day we would go to some of the luxury doctor offices or whatever and you'd see Joe Malone or something. Now you see Way there.
Way. Yeah.
It's always Way.
Yeah.
So you might not know what it is pronounced like.
So I was gonna say it's hard. I had to look it up actually.
It's OUAI. So when you're in Sephora or wherever you buy your products, you'll see it and you may not know how to say it. We're here to educate you guys. Way. So you can get your fast fix for healthy looking hair with Way if you go to theway.com. TheOuai.com. Use the Heal Squad code at checkout. You get 15% off any purchase. Try it. Might be a really nice holiday gift for somebody because the packaging's really pretty. Yeah. So if you want to get ahead on holiday gifts, that's another great gift idea. Another one, I love educational gifts. Rosetta Stone. You can give somebody the gift of a language. Rosetta Stone's a really great one as well. You can get 40% off at rosettastone.com/Heal Squad. Unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your life.
By the way, what's your opinion on languages for babies?
That's such a great question.
Right?
Great question, honey.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that, the brain, speaking of the brain, is the most like a sponge in the very earliest years of life as a baby, birth to 5. And if you are a dual or trilingual home, with language, it is absolutely imperative to be, and the onus is on you as a parent, to be introducing that or multiple languages to your children as early as possible. The way that children collect language is very interesting. They're able to compartmentalize And our receptive language is also different. The way that our brain develops and the way that we bring in and learn our receptive language is different than our expressive language. So
what's the difference?
So receptive is what we hear and what we take in and what we learn, and our expressive is what we put out, what we're talking, right? And parents and the world around young children, we only really pay attention to the expressive. We're waiting for their first,
Mommy, daddy.
what is the question that everybody asks? What was your child's first word, right? When did that happen? But what we don't pay attention to, or what we don't actually know, is when they're taking in the language. That happens the second they pop out of you, right? They are learning, they are picking up, and they are gaining that massive wealth of knowledge, and it can come in so many different forms, and their ability to soak it up in different languages is paramount at that stage of life. The one thing that I will say, because the way the brain works is that we compartmentalize languages. So what I always say is A to A, B to B. So for example, if you speak Greek to Athena all the time. She will pick it up and she will speak Greek back to you. If you speak English or another language, do that all the time. She can hear the multiple languages, like she can hear you speak to Kevin in English, she can hear you speak to Kevin in Spanish, or to, in multiple languages, but always speak to her in the language you want her to learn.
That's so hard, because I call her my bunny.
I know.
And I say, I love you, I love you.
You can still do that. You can
but
still
I speak to
have
her
that.
primarily in Greek, but I do speak some English.
That's okay. It's okay. What I would say is as much as you possibly can.
Okay.
And the other thing that I tell parents who are raising children in dual language households, or more than one language, is that they are picking it up, but their expressive language, so their receptive language, they're picking it all up, they're soaking it in, but their expressive language might actually seem a little bit delayed, and that's okay. So because they're learning multiple languages, so you may not think that you have someone who knows multiple languages as early on as maybe some other parents. And one of the other things that we do as parents is we compare our children to other people who have children at the same age. And I always caution about that, because the way your child is growing up in your home is different than every other child out there. Yeah. And their environment is also of paramount importance to what they are taking in and what they are experiencing, and how that will manifest as they become a bigger human being. And so when we start comparing to other people's children, it's not fair. It does you an incredible disservice. It does your child an incredible disservice.
Wow. Yeah, I had a friend, her husband spoke Spanish, she spoke Greek. They would speak to the child in their language at the same time, the full conversation between the three of them. And the baby would spit out
to the mom in
Greek, and the husband in Spanish.
Yes.
And I thought it was so magical. I was like, wow, I want to be able to do that someday. And so our baby nanny speaks Spanish constantly.
Perfect. That's amazing, because it's one of the top languages in the world, and will continue to be.
It's funny. We have 3 people speaking in Spanish to her all day, because my dad's caretaker also speaks Spanish. And because my dad's house flooded, they're living with us right now.
Oh, wow.
And then my dad's speaking Greek and I'm speaking Greek. Kevin's speaking English. So we've got
that's great.
So many languages going on.
It's
and
amazing.
We've got the Spanish books and we've got the Greek books.
That's amazing. And the other thing that you can do is so we can talk about technology later if you want. But one of the things that I will say with young children is you can if you're going to use technology, use it in an educational way. And the best way to do that, especially at this age, is to do videos of people singing in the languages that they are learning. So Spanish songs, Greek songs.
Okay. I was wondering about that because I bought the Greek TV channels, but I don't want her watching TV. So the second it went on, her eyes were glued.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh shit, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I wish there was a setting on the TV that would black out the screen so you could just listen.
Have some music. Well, what you can do is you can put it up and have it in the background, right? And just not have her sitting in front of the TV.
Yeah.
But the other thing that you can do is if you find programming at this age, where there's a great one that I can give you for Spanish that I recommend all the time. If the programming is of actual human beings that are singing and dancing, and as opposed to animatronics or cartoons or things like that, that's actually okay for them to be taking in small doses, because they're seeing real human interaction. They're seeing real facial expressions. They're hearing intonation go up and down. They're getting music, which music is a pre-building skill for math. So
wow.
So having
because of the rhythm.
The yeah, there's so many things about music that we know that helps the brain develop now that are pre-math and reading skills. And so having your child surrounded by music, like I would have music on all the time. Classical music, jazz music, rock music, music in Greek, music in Spanish. Yeah.
Okay. Kevin's always I kind of get a little annoyed very early in the morning. He's playing all this rock music for her, classic rock.
No, soft classic rock.
Okay.
And she smiles every time I play it for her. She loves it.
Maybe start with classical music until Maria wakes up fully, and then transfer to Led Zeppelin.
No. It's not. We're in separate rooms.
Another side of the house. I'm the baby. I'm the baby
You're
nurse.
the baby nurse in the
morning.
So
I'm
okay.
Nothing to do with her.
Got it. Okay. Well, then
I thought
would
the
say
decibels
me and my
might
daughters
be too high.
No, she smiles and we have a lot of fun.
It's also
together.
it's daddy bonding time. That's
Thank you.
actually
Plus,
so important.
I'm so sick of the same songs.
I know. Yeah.
I hear the same songs.
Have you seen? Oh, I wish now I had brought it. So there's this great series of albums that have been put out for babies, and they take all the top artists from Fish to U2 to Elton John to Beatles, like you name it, across all music genres, and they make them like baby child friendly. Have you seen these?
No.
Okay, I'll get you some and I'll send them over.
I would love that.
And also, there's an amazing baby store in the complex that we were talking about where the sushi restaurant is.
Oh, okay.
Upstairs. There's 2 stores in there that if you haven't been in there, you should definitely frequent.
Okay.
One is As You Wish downstairs. They've got great baby stuff and toys and things. But upstairs, there's a place called, I believe it's a Mother's Haven.
Oh, I've heard of that.
And they have some amazing, and I'm not a sponsor or anything. Like, I just happen to know because I live in the area and have shopped there with my kids in the past. But they have some incredible products and things, and they sell those CDs. But I'll get you some. I'll send them over. Surround Athena with music and books.
Okay.
Music books. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I wonder, Nat, you should look up really quick. I wonder if Rosetta Stone does anything for kids. It would make sense because I've wanted to have something on audio for her
to listen to.
Because when I'm doing it, I'm it's an activity. I have to push, the corresponding photo with the corresponding words.
Yes.
She can't do that.
Right.
They do have it.
Well, there are
They
podcasts.
do, honey?
An award-winning language program.
No way.
Yeah. And there are a number of podcasts that have been created for children. I don't know about necessarily for Athena's age, but there are starting probably as young as I would say 9 to 12 months. There are a number of podcasts that are out there specifically for that age. And then there are also a number of really great apps that have mindfulness approaches and, snippets that you can play for children and for babies, whether it's a combination of white noise or, the myriad types of noises that we can play for children. And that also have like subconscious lessons behind them. That are really great, I think, also to have. Yeah.
What do you think about white noise in the room for a baby? Because there's a grandma on Instagram I've been following, and she's against it.
Yeah. I'm a huge proponent. Huge. And I will tell you that my 2 children, 14 and 17, still use white noise in their room every night. And I think that there are multiple advantages to it. I think aside from the fact that it blocks out other things that are happening and allows your child to kind of really focus, our body actually needs different signifiers to tell the brain that it's time to go to sleep, to release the appropriate hormones for us to calm down from our day. We're so inundated and overwhelmed with quote noise, right? Whether it's technology or our friends or our partners or music or books or the news or whatever it is. We have many requests and demands placed on us every day as adults. Children do too. And so our brain needs signifiers that it's time to shut down and go to sleep, to calm down. And so white noise is a part of a routine that gives our children the subconscious kick that it needs to really start calming down from the day. And there's nothing that is negative about it. I think there are some people that say, oh, your child will become reliant on it and they will need that. I have seen that with some children that they can't fall asleep in a completely quiet room. but I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. I think that, there are so many.
I can't.
Right. I mean, there are so many crutches that we as human beings use. Many of them are unhealthy, right? We need to find things to give to our children that are healthy, self-soothing tactics, right? And so a self-soothing tactic, one of the things that when I go in and I do sleep training or how to help your kids transition from one thing to another, we're always looking at and talking about how does your child know how to self-soothe on their own without you doing something for them, you doing it for them, right? Or something that is maybe not necessarily a healthy crutch. A white noise is a healthy self-soothing tactic. It's something that they can control, right? Healthy means that they can control it. They can utilize it. When they want to, they can turn it on, they can turn it off, and it's not creating anything bad for them in their physiology.
So white noise is okay.
White
That's
noise
good
is
to
okay.
know.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, friends, I always sleep. Well, we always sleep with a fan on.
Oh, so do I.
And I realized that no matter how much we clean, because of Max, our shepherd, there's probably just too much dust and hair. And so my throat would be perpetually hurting. I'd be congested. I'd have all these things. So I experimented with keeping windows open and no AC. 'Cause first I thought it was the AC. Then I realized, okay, I had a little relief, but then it was still there because of the fan. So last night I experimented with no fan, but using Athena's Hatch white noise machine that I heard was bad. So I pulled it out of her room and I wasn't going to use it. And then I walk in and Kevin's got his white noise on the phone. And so, not last night, the night before, honey. Remember when I thought maybe she was swaddled too tight and I got nervous and I went in to see if she was breathing?
I didn't have the white noise on.
Yeah, you did.
Nope.
The other night. You think I'm nuts? I walked in. You were asleep.
I think it was the air purifier.
It was white noise. It was really loud.
I don't even have it, honey.
Honey, it was a fan sound that was so loud.
Okay.
It was. I'm not a sleepwalker.
I'm sure it was.
Anyhow.
It's funny. I was going to say, have you tried an air purifier?
We have one in there.
do,
well, not in my room.
Okay,
I gave
in
it
your
to her.
room. No,
well,
for
I bought it for me,
Yeah.
and then I realized she was getting congested.
Yeah.
So I lifted her bed with 2 books, and then I put the air purifier in her room. I still have to go get one for mine now.
Yeah.
But I slept really well with my white noise Hatch little guy, and then and I woke up with no congestion and no sore throat.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So it was
little things make
pretty
a big
awesome.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're killing our immune systems with these fans, I think, because
of its
everything's circulating. So what areas of child development do you specialize in?
Okay. So when I went back and did all of my postgraduate work, I studied everything. And I really realized that I took one course that I felt, why does every parent not? You know how we say you get to leave the hospital with your child and you don't actually have to do anything? And I took this one
Wait,
course.
what do you mean?
Well, you don't have to take any courses on how to become a parent. Like they let you leave the hospital with your child. When we drive a car, when we, graduate a class, we have to take exams, we have to study.
That's a good point.
Anyone can become a parent. It's really quite, obviously you have to go through the process of becoming pregnant and all that. But once you get pregnant and once you have your child, there's no one that's saying, well, wait, you need to take an exam and we need to know that you know how to raise your child, right? And so there was this one course that I took in my postgraduate, classes. And I came out of it and I said, this is the class that every parent needs to have. It's absurd to me. And that class was brain development. It was understanding and learning how the brain wires up in the very early years of life and how that then transfers into what we see. So essentially the science behind development. And I'll give you kind of the overall idea is the brain is the least developed organ at birth. So when our children come out of the uterus and they are, they are delivered approximately 40 weeks and they're essentially formed and ready to be in the world, but the brain is the least developed organ of the entire body. And in the first 5 years, the majority of the brain that is not developed at birth, it becomes online, and it wires up from the bottom to the top and the back to the front. And all of the things that make us human, you know, our ability to be rational, our critical thinking skills, that's all stuff that happens up in the front part of the frontal lobe of our brain.
And that's the last part.
And that is the last part that comes online. Whereas the things that kind of wire up first are what we call our reptilian brain. So the part of the brain that actually keeps us alive. It controls our temperature, our heart rate, the central nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. That's all up and running from birth because we need it to be alive, right? And then there's an emotional center of the brain that also is coming online, but nowhere near complete at birth. And those things are formed a lot by our environment, which is why, you know, historically there's been this argument, nature versus nurture. We know now that there is no nature versus nurture. It is nature and nurture. The study of epigenetics, which I'm sure you're familiar with, how our environment turns on the genes that potentially lay dormant within us. That is so much, it's a lot of what I'm now getting into and really studying, because there's so much of a correlation between epigenetics and the brain development. And we know now that when a child comes into the world, they are so not even close to being fully formed because the brain is not online, right? And it comes online primarily in the first 5 to 7 years of life, but it's not done until we're in our mid-20s, believe it or not.
Whoa.
Which is why teens, you know,
one stupid thing.
Yeah. One of the things that I say is little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems. And I work with parents who have newborns and toddlers, and also I work with 17 to 22-year-olds. And because of that, I actually get to see how these challenges literally can come full circle. It's really unbelievable. I can see how parenting decisions that are made when children are 2 to 7 years old affect how they act when they're 17 to 22 years old. It's unbelievable.
Oh my God, give us the secret keys.
So brain development has become a very big part of what I practice and what I preach and what I talk to parents about, because I find it so important and imperative. And when parents understand the why behind what their children are doing, all of a sudden, I believe it becomes much easier to be a parent. You can actually parent the right way. But then I really got into positive discipline, mindfulness, and emotion coaching, because in all of the studies that I did, what I found was when you take those 3 pillars, positive discipline, emotion coaching, and mindfulness, and you use all of those and you put them into the brain-based parenting, those 4 pillars, you can really create a happy home. You really understand what's going on, and you understand how to be the best parent to raise the best child, the child who will be best prepared for the world that they're going to go out in. And let's face it, the world that our kids are going out in right now is a really scary one in a lot of ways.
I completely disagree with that. But anyway, no, I'm being very facetious.
No, I want you to break down the 3.
Yeah. Can you once again say what
those 3
pillars
Let's
are?
break each one of them down.
I want to hear all 3 of them if I could, and then break down one by one.
Yeah. So I've been really fortunate. I've been able to study with some of the best, the people who are the foremost experts in these different fields. And so the first one is emotion coaching, right? We as human beings, as adults, we have feelings, right? And we experience our feelings, and they go kind of like this. And as I was saying earlier, as an adult, we can have anywhere from 50 to 100 demands placed on us in a single day. And those things affect our emotions. Our emotions can be all over the place. And as adults, hopefully, we have self-soothing techniques to help us deal with those emotions. If we don't, then we see adults have adult tantrums, right? We also see adults have unhealthy ways of handling their emotions.
But that's where anxiety probably comes from too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
knowing how to self-soothe.
Exactly. And so the way that this translates down and kind of like if you kind of go down deep into it with kids, is that parents starting, believe it or not, from the time they are about 3 months old, parents need to be talking to their kids and using terminology that has to do with emotions, and talking to their children in a way that is accepting of their emotions and not putting what you think they're feeling on them. So a great example of that is We have, let's say, for example, we have a child who is in the process of learning how to speak, and they're frustrated because they know what they want and they're pointing at it, and mom and dad have no idea what they want. And so that child launches into what we call an emotional tantrum, right? Now, there are two different kinds of tantrums that children have. There's emotional tantrums and there's manipulative tantrums. Most tantrums start out as emotional because they genuinely are having an escalated emotion and they don't know how to communicate that to the adult that is trying to help them.
I feel like I have that normally in life myself. I'm like, the words won't come out.
Yeah. No, I think you're hitting on something that is really true for a lot of adults as well. And I will tell you that part of that is because we were not given emotion coaching when we were younger. And so much of the work that I do when I go in and do emotion coaching with parents is teaching them what is the terminology. How do we talk to our kids? Yeah. How do we honor their emotions without putting our emotions on them?
We're trained to say, don't cry. My dad, every time Athena cried, no crying. And I'm like, don't say that.
As opposed to, what's wrong, sweetheart? How can I help you? What do you need? I can see that you're upset because you're crying. Are you sad? Are you angry? Are you frustrated? You're feeding words to the child to give her a language to express her emotions from a very early age so that she'll grow up knowing that her emotions are okay, that you honor and validate them. Now, the second piece of this, and this is the really important piece, and this is the piece that a lot of parents actually also completely skip, is how do we teach our children to develop in developmentally appropriate ways, handle their emotions, right? Because what I will say is every emotion is acceptable. You can get as angry as you want. You can get as sad as you want. You can get as stressed out as you want. But is it okay to go punch someone when you're angry? Of course not. Is it okay to go punch a wall? Of course not. But what can we do is teach our children how to have proper self-soothing techniques when they experience what I call these internal emotional storms, which, by the way, we as adults have internal emotional storms all the time also. And so the question is, how do we self-soothe? Because we are modeling for our children 24/7, and that's why parenting is so hard, because we are literally modeling 24/7. So that's emotion coaching.
Well, also we're modeling, but we have no handbook. Like all these things you're talking about, we don't know that we're supposed to be thinking about these things. I know when Athena's crying, I'll say, what's wrong? I'll say, does your belly hurt? Because I can usually tell. I think it's her belly. So then I start rubbing her belly and doing reflexology on her and stuff to help her.
Do you move her legs up
I move her legs.
Yeah,
I do the whole shifting.
Yeah, you can put her on your leg and on her tummy on your leg.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, good. Okay.
So I do all those things. But we don't have handbooks, and it's so overwhelming, even for people like me and Kev, who really wanted to be ahead on everything. And we tried and we read what we could. It's still such an overwhelming process. So knowing that we have to give them language is really important. The other part you said could be the manipulative tantrums.
Yes. So as children get older, it's really fun. And also,
if you can see her face, guys, if you're listening to this on your ride to work,
it's really
she gave
fun.
A real interesting look there.
It's really fun. But also, children are incredibly smart, and they very quickly learn who to go to for what. And they learn how to press your buttons and get under your skin. And by the way, that's a good thing. We want them to learn that. But then we as parents need to learn how to parent that appropriately. Right. And so often when children have these manipulation tantrums, and an example of that is you're in the checkout line at your local supermarket and your child wants the pack of gum and there are 3 people in front of you at line, and you say, but sweetheart, I got you the cookies and I got you the cereal you wanted. We're not going to get the gum today, which, by the way, most people wouldn't say that. Most people would just say no. Right. And there are ways that we talk to kids. And that's another thing I train parents on. How do we say no without saying no? But if a parent says, no, we're not going to do that, that child launches into a tantrum until the parent gives in. Right. Because the parent is embarrassed, ashamed. Can I tell you how many times I've actually walked out of a store or left a party or something because I was the parent that didn't give in, and people thought I was crazy. But I taught my kids that that was not how they were going to get what they wanted. And so they learned to communicate in a different way. Now, I'm not saying I did it right every time, because no one does, but I knew that, you know, parents have a hard time doing what they have to do sometimes to teach their children the appropriate emotion coaching, the appropriate, you know, what we're talking about now is kind of going into positive discipline a little bit. So positive discipline is really all about education, right? People think it's about training your kid or putting them in timeout, or, you know, there are so many people out there who have written books about discipline and how to get your kids to do what you want. Discipline is really about education, and it starts from a place where you and your partner have a conversation of what are the values that you hold dear to you and you want your children to grow up having, right? What do you want? What's important to you? I've walked into homes where the parents say to me, they better have really good table manners and they better say please and thank you all the time. And I have other parents who say to me, yeah, that's important, but I don't really care if they make their bed as long as they go out and, like, if they see someone who needs help, they figure out how they can help that person, right? So discipline starts from a place of what do the parents hold dear and what's important to you in your household. And that's different for everybody. But once you have that conversation, positive discipline is a style of educating our children right from wrong and teaching them from a very young age how to communicate their needs and wants in an emotionally appropriate way. This is why I said all this stuff kind of ties together, right? But a lot of it is how we as parents also talk to our children. So for example, going back to the child in the supermarket, one parent will say no, and the child will launch into a manipulation tantrum. Another parent who's been trained and worked with someone who understands positive discipline will say, I got you this today. This is what you asked for. We'll get the gum the next time. I see that you want it. I see that you're frustrated. The gum will come another time. Or I have gum in the car. If you really want a piece of gum, we'll have gum in the car. Or, you know, is this something that you're allowed? Is this something that, right there? It's a way of communicating with our children.
So you're saying no isn't a good thing to say to your kids?
So what I tell parents is reserve no for the times you really need it, because there will be times you really need it. But think about it this way. If you, even as an adult, hear something so many times, you become desensitized to it.
I mean, I heard no my whole life. Dad, can I? No. Dad, can I? No. I thought.
So how do you feel about that?
I think I became super resilient and resourceful.
Resourceful. Okay.
Because I had to find another way.
Okay.
But counterpoint.
Yes.
You also became very much no with a lot of things in your life.
Well, I just became like him.
With your career and things that, you know, big decisions. No. And I'd be, oh, yeah, okay. And I would go do it. And then later, it'd be like, oh, thank God you did that.
Yeah.
But also, I was raised with immense fear. I was terrified of my parents. I was terrified of disappointing them. Yep. So then if you raise a child like that, what do you see them become? Because I know, I love that you've seen the progression through. So what does someone like that become?
So you see them become hypersensitive to a lot of the mental health stuff, you know, that we are dealing with today. High levels of anxiety, depression, OCD, not being able to self-soothe, not having self-soothing tools in a healthy way. We see a lot of health issues. Like what? All kinds of things. I mean, it can manifest when we grow up in homes where we're constantly told no, we're told we can't do things. You know, this is where epigenetics comes in, right? And we're now learning that people who have grown up in authoritarian homes like yours have not only mental health challenges, but also are experiencing more physical health challenges at younger ages. Autoimmune diseases, cancers. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I know who have been diagnosed with things at really young ages that you know,
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, especially because people are living healthier lives and our lifespan is longer now. And so why are we seeing so many young people having issues with allergies and autoimmune, you know, things that were not happening to all of us 50, 100 years ago. Now, granted, there were other things. Lifespan was different. You know, I'm not an expert in the area of epigenetics. I'm just fascinated by it. And so I'm learning more and more as I go. But I do think I have seen the progression with children, you know, what happens to them when they grow up in different types of environments, you know, authoritarian versus authoritative. And there is a difference. You know, you see children coming through authoritative homes where they are very skilled in how to talk to other people. They can have conversations with adults. They are incredibly resilient and resourceful, but in a way where they
Survival.
are happy. You know, what I would ask you is, if you were constantly hearing no, even though you had to be resourceful, were you scared?
Oh, yeah.
Did you feel bad?
Yeah.
Did you wish your parents were handling things differently?
Yeah.
Right. And
Of
so,
course.
right. And so, and
I'm just making lemonade out of what I had.
Of course, as most people do. But you know what's interesting? You were able to do that. So many people weren't. And one of the things, so many people aren't. And one of the things that you said is that you read a lot of self-help books.
Yeah.
And so you knew from an early age that you needed to find answers in other places. But a lot of people don't know that. And so they grow up and they have these experiences that could be very different. Wow. You were fortunate that someone spoke to you, your internal voice, you know, whatever it was, that said to you, Maria, you need to look elsewhere. You're not getting what you need at home right now. And so let's figure out how to supplement that.
Wow. Yeah, it started with like Chicken Soup for the Soul, I think maybe even in 8th grade.
Yes. Yeah.
From Go, I was
Jack
self-help.
Canfield, yeah.
Then there was some John Grisham books.
Yeah.
Like I read some of those, but and I did the Nancy Drews and the Agatha Christie
sounds
books.
like we're very aligned in what we read.
Yeah, but then I was like, oh, this fiction stuff is such a waste of time. I need help.
Yeah.
And so I needed to give my all to self-help. I wonder with the authoritative families, and I'm doing this for the benefit of the women who are listening right now who had the same thing. Mm-hmm. What do you find in the workplace? What happens with those people in the workplace?
The authoritarian versus authoritative. It's a great question. I mean, I think people who come out of authoritarian homes tend to be more type A. They tend to want, you know, to really like feel like they have to do it. They have to get it right themselves. They are perfectionists. They aren't necessarily always the nicest people to work with because they have, and I don't know.
Honey, I'm going to kill you right now. I'm going to stab you in your sleep tonight. Because he's like, oh, I don't know anyone like that. I'm going to kill you. Carry on. Heal Squad, come for him, please. Cancel him on Twitter right now.
Oh no, don't say that. I hate cancel culture.
I know.
You know, I think with authoritative people who come out of authoritative homes, they tend to be very collaborative. They tend to be very good communicators. They tend to do really well in the workplace because they were brought up in homes where their voice mattered, their emotions mattered. You know, what I say about an authoritarian home versus an authoritative. This is how in like one line, this is how I say it. Authoritarian is that it's my way or the highway.
That's it.
And authoritative, it's I am your parent and I make the final decision, but I am absolutely happy to include you in the conversation and to hear how you feel, and we will have a discussion about it. But I make the final decision. Yeah. And that is always what I have said to my children. And it is what, when I go into any home, I come from that place of, you are the parent. Your child is going to have thousands of friends in their lifetime. They're going to be fortunate to be blessed and surrounded by people that love them. But they will only have two parents. You have to be the parent.
Yeah. But well, and you know better than them. So you're going to have to make that final decision. Do you find them to be controlling because they couldn't control their environment?
Definitely a piece of it. Absolutely. Yeah. When we feel out of control, we tend to want to control more. I see that with kids all the time. When they are in authoritarian homes, they find ways to control. They also rebel more.
Yeah.
You know, they tend to rebel more. But, you know.
All right, friends, we're going to stop right there. And we're going to come back tomorrow for part 2 with Marissa. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or mariamenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Marissa Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Marissa Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.